Hey, what's up? And welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show, our new normal, if that's what you want to call it. So we've been going strong for the last almost 2 months now. March, April, May, yeah, like a little over 2 months now. I never thought I could sit still this long, and it's really tested my patience. And I'm not even like a people person. I'm just not used to not like getting up and working and going out of the house and not coming back until like it was dark outside. So this is abnormal, and I'm still trying to get used to it. But um, my guest today represents something else that I've been doing. Well, since the start of this, I actually have been cooking more, and I cook. I'm a really good cook, I would say so myself. But I was trying to incorporate some, not necessarily. I don't like to use the word healthy or diet because most times it kind of gets old real quick and it kind of messes your mind up. But I've been cooking more, and for me, I had to learn how to cook smaller meals because it's just me, or like if my friend comes over, like it'll be more. But normally, I don't like a lot of leftovers, so I'm learning how to meal prep and like cook healthier vegan style meals. I'm not fully plant based yet, and I'm learning the different level plant based and raw and no cook raw. Like it's levels to this shit. So this is week two of all vegan. Now, what people don't realize is you can still there's still can you can still be a fat vegan because there's still processed foods that you can have as a vegan, and it's how I'm kind of transitioning into it. So I'll buy some of the vegan options. That's like when you get like the chicken nuggets or the patties and stuff that is already prepared, and all you have to do is warm it up. So I'm eating some of those things, and I'm incorporating um, some of the other options. Thank God that we have a Tabitha Brown out there in the world that's giving us the real honest perspective, and Janae is going to also give us some insight. But I've been going strong for 2 weeks. The first week I wanted to fight. I really wanted to punch somebody, and I had put myself through this before, and I would get angry and hostile and all that. And it's hard for me because I live in Charles Village, and the only thing you can do in Charles Village is go to the meth clinic, eat, and get your hair done. Like that's the only thing that you can really do in in Charles Village. But I have been incorporating like eating and cooking the food. Thankfully, like I have a cousin that owns a restaurant. Shout out to Ray at Flight, that has been hooking me up with some options, so I don't feel like I can still feel like normal people. But I have all the time. I've ordered out maybe 5 times in the last 2 weeks, which is a lot, crazy. But shout out, I got a hook up at old Flight. But I've been able to order like even at the different restaurants. I've been able to order like vegan only, and that is weird to me because when it comes, normally you expecting a chicken cheese steak and stuff like that, but it's been like healthier food. Well, I'm not gonna say healthier because something we have to make sure we understand that there's still processed foods within vegan eating, and it's really good. So much so that yesterday my friend brought me some Popeyes, and just the smell of it. And I'm not gonna be like, ugh, the carcass. Oh my god! It was just the smell of it was became real to me. So what I have been making crab cakes, and I've been making my own form of chicken with the chickpeas and all that, and the jackfruit, and I've been like really doing it. So the smell of the Popeyes just took me to a place, and it went to my stomach, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this to myself. I said, this take it home. I appreciate it, but this go ahead to take that back home because I can't eat it. But yeah, I think I've been doing pretty good with just balancing it out and not lying to myself. If I wanted something sweet, I'm not killing myself and like, oh my god. So my cousin, shout out to Flight, sent me some cake, And this weekend is my birthday, and I might have me a big old pan of banana pudding. Shout out to my cousin Nika, the baker. But I'm not gonna like kill myself. But I'm not like trying to avoid it because I still got to see food and think about food and everybody eating and Tabitha Brown on everybody's damn pages now. So I got to see this stuff, but I'm not going to lie to myself. But further ado, I want to welcome Miss Janae on with us. I think your sound is off as well, so you got to open your sound up. Oh, one more. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
So you've heard my whole, how you doing? You've heard my whole ordeal, and I first was introduced to Janae through Miss Mia Muse, when I went on her page, I said, "Oh, okay, so she's a healthy eater, okay." And then as I started scrolling a little bit more, I'm like, "Oh no, she into food, so I can watch this because some of them healthy eaters they ain't really into it like that, but." You have made it kind of a way of life and you're working on making it a part of your industry, your
Oh man,
entrepreneurship.
for sure. I could definitely relate to where you are. I think everything that you're saying right now is pretty
Hmm.
much what the company stands for.
Right,
And I say that say, and just to introduce myself, my name is Janae. I have
right.
a health conscious food company. So our goal is to change the way people see and taste food. And
Mm,
pretty much take unique approaches on getting people to eat healthy without it feeling overwhelming,
right,
just like what you're kind
right,
of talking about.
right.
So the biggest thing I think that we all have to realize when it comes to food is that it's psychological. So when
Mm,
I say that, it's like, okay, say before I started on my vegan journey, I've probably been vegan now and took meat out of the equation for maybe about a year and some change.
okay.
So during that process, I had to wean myself off. I still was eating seafood. I still would dibble dabble. And then I got to a point where my body was like fully rejecting the meat. That's what really made me like not eat it anymore. Kind of was like a moment I was cooking chicken. I was in the middle of making like spring rolls. I used to make these dope garlic Annie spring rolls with like some fresh shredded cheese, some butter, some
Mm,
chicken wrapped up in like a nice crunchy spring roll. These were like a hit. And one day when I was really making these, I
they
started
wasn't
feeling
a hit.
sick. No, it wasn't a hit no more. And I also had somebody in my life who was very close to me who was already on that journey. So they kind of were like able to kind of help me with that transition.
Right.
But now I'm in a space where it's like I no longer really want the chicken anymore. Like I used to, but now
Yeah.
it's like kind of like it's more so kind of weaning myself away from things like fries and certain other things. But I don't really want the chicken anymore. Like I said,
It's it's difficult only because you have to my nutritionist was like, "What is your why? Why do you want to do this?" And for me, like, I'm confident in who I am. I would like to like tone up because I'll be 37 in like 2 more days. So I want to. I know I'm not going to be tight in two days, but I want to go into my 40s healthier than I went into my 20s. And I was only unhealthy really in my 20s. That's when I first got thick. And I don't want to like be skinny, but I just want to be healthy. And for me, it's a health thing. So there are a number of things that I can't eat anymore. Like I can't really indulge in seafood anymore
okay.
because I'm having some acid build up and it's causing like pain and inflammation. And it's certain things that I like. Dairy has never been my friend. It is really not my friend now because the mucus buildup is like instantaneous. Ice cream, like I love you, but you don't love me. And so I can't. I got to get out of this disrespectful marriage that we have. But for me, it was just more health reasons. So it's already. It was easier because it was already things that I couldn't eat. So
Okay.
now it's like, I gave away my barbecue pork chops a long time ago. But I'm a burger dude. Like I'm the person that goes to a restaurant and the waiter knows exactly what I want because that's the same thing I get when I go to that place every single time. So I'm already
Oh,
limited.
okay.
So it's now just changing what I do, like the spaghettis, the hamburgers, stuff like that, making it where I'm at. So now I can eat a black bean burger and be good. Like,
Okay.
and it don't feel like, you know, oh my God, give me something else. Like I'm not there. I'm more open to it because I eat regular, like food, but limited. But yeah, so I'm in that space right now.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so perfect example. Something I was experimenting with recently. I've been on a grill a lot. So, because grilling, as you know, adds a whole nother component and flavor to food and really takes it to another level. So I've been grilling a lot, and I've been using wood chips and like natural charcoal. Not
That's
like
smoky.
the charcoal, not the charcoal that you normally would buy, but like the charcoal that I get, it kind of looks like lava rock.
Yeah.
Like, it's real interesting.
Yeah.
But what I grilled recently that's very similar in texture to a burger and that really impressed me was I took a portobello mushroom and I put it on a grill, and then I actually used like I don't know if you're familiar with. Are you trying to stay away from bread?
So the beginning of this, it was carbs fucking up. I was buying biscuits, I was buying cornbread, all of that. But I'm limited now to the artesian bread, so I won't get anything else. I love sweet potato bread, or not sweet potato bread, the potato bread and the Hawaiian rolls. That is dangerous. I don't even go to that part of the market. I don't. So I'm trying to, but yeah, I'm trying to find some alternatives. And I don't like wraps. I've tried that. I don't like them.
Okay. Well, I can give you an idea of what you could do. So with the portobello mushroom burger, being that it kind of had like that smokiness once it was cooked, it was still very juicy, very thick. And if you wanted to reduce some of the bread, you could actually cut the bread. The Couser roll is thick. So what you would do is just like kind of cut it in half and then use less of the bread and toast it. Because you know when you toast it too, it's less calories. It's not as unhealthy because now you're changing the dynamics of the bread. You could,
so if I toast bread, don't say that to me.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you the truth. Like toasting bread makes it
everything.
Toasting the bread makes it healthier. You know what I'm saying? It changes.
And people, that doesn't mean you can eat more of it just because you toast it. That's not what that means.
But the thing is, what I'm saying too is that you can use less of it. You can still use it, just don't use as much.
Right.
And then
you mean like half of the bun, cut that in half.
Yeah.
And use that. Okay,
and I got make it like a thin layer, but then also still make it thick enough to where you can kind of like get some of the bread, but then lay your sandwich. Put a little vegan mayo, put some tomatoes, some lettuce, or whatever you like on it, and now you got you a nice little burger. It's juicy. It's gonna kind of be nice and wet. It's gonna be tender, and it's gonna satisfy.
And that's one of the things. So I like, everybody know, I say cheeseburgers in every other sentence that I say. So I love burgers, and that was the biggest thing for me. Like, eating vegan before, you normally had to eat out because it wasn't a lot of recipes, it wasn't a lot of options outside of a salad. And I remember like vegan restaurants before, the stuff was tasting kind of like rubber bands, and I was like, I'm not eating that. It is nasty. But now we have more options like the black bean burger or the sweet potato, and I made one with sweet potatoes and spinach, and it was just like mixed up, and I kind of put a little bit, mashed up some chickpeas just to like even it out. And I've been using a lot of the liquid amino and the liquid smoke, and I'm trying to like I'm a person that I can't call something chicken if it ain't chicken.
I understand that.
Even though I'm just trying to substitute, like I made crab cakes last week from the jackfruit, and I know in my mind this is not a crab cake. And then when I taste it, it's damn sure ain't a crab cake, but it just gives me the same thing. My issue has become texture. So and that's why I can't call it the same thing, because the texture is often different. And that's the thing that I'm trying to find, how to get the same texture, or what can I use to give me the same textures. So my mouth is really your mouth trying to find that same feeling, but how can I kind of emulate that texture in the food?
So going back to that word that I mentioned, where speaking of psychology, so it's psychological, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, you said you're 37, so pretty much.
Oh, I'm not 37 yet.
Okay,
Sunday.
so
Sunday.
I'm sorry. So pretty much for 35, 36 years of your life, all you
Right.
know, your actual body chemistry, your
Right.
biology linked to me. Like we kind of have a relationship with that. Like
Yeah.
so it's like
Mhm.
honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's going to just take you kind of weaning off and just getting used to it for the psychology of it to change for you to kind of be like, okay, this is what it is.
Right.
Because I mean,
Right.
nothing is gonna ever emulate a chicken. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Or a crab or some crab texture. We can get close to it. We can flavor it by using like, what did you flavor your crab cake with?
The jackfruit. I did it with the jackfruit. So I just pulled it apart.
What seasonings did you use?
I used a little bit of Old Bay just for the smell, and I use a little bit of mustard, and I put the mayo in it, and like black pepper, garlic, but I just put a little bit more Old Bay in it, and that's all the season I really use. And it was like it was like a seafood blend that Old Bay does now, and I use that.
Have you ever
and this sidebar, Old Bay has a hot sauce now. Check that out. I'm just saying, check that. Yeah, they have a hot sauce now.
Okay.
Check that out. But yeah, I use the basic seeds that I use to make crab cakes. So
okay. So you just transferred it over.
Yeah. So, but I made the recipe I was going by. I made the Old Bay into like a liquid, and I just soaked the jackfruit in that for like a couple hours, and then I just put it together normally, like I would normally put the crab cake, and it was pretty good. It was a little too salty, but it was good. It was good. But I don't eat a lot of Old Bay seasoning anyway for that reason, because it's really salty.
Did you put mayo in it?
Like it. Yeah, I used a little bit of mayo once I kind of dried it out a little bit, because the liquid kind of, I guess when you cooking vegan, water is a big thing because you're rehydrating a lot of the food. So I just put a little bit of the mayo in it. Okay. And I mixed it in. So I didn't really change anything. I used the same basic seasonings other than the seafood. It's like a seafood blend. What is it? Adobe? I think that's what it's called. And I just use that. Adobo. I use that. Okay. And
adobo is I would tell you to eliminate adobo from your cabinet.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not really good for us.
It's not good. No. Is it too salt? Is it too much salt in it?
It's what they put inside of the ingredients of it. You kind of have to the best bet for seasonings is simplicity. You know, like having some sea salt. I only cook with sea salt now. Only use Himalayan sea salt, and you can buy that very cheap at like Marshalls or something. Get you a big bag, get you a reusable container, always refill that. And then also another good thing to have for seafood is, you ever heard of dulce, like dulce flakes? Or like
somebody told me, but again, Safeway didn't have that, so I'm buying. Safeway didn't have that, so I'm gonna have to order that.
Dulce is really good to have in your cabinet. Or if you don't have the dulce, you could do seaweed flakes. If they have seaweed flakes, or the seaweed, the chips or whatever, you can take those and punch those up and put those in too, to add another element to make it taste more seafoody, to kind of balance out the Old Bay. Did you fry it? You baked it? How did you cook it?
I broiled it. I thought I could. Well, I started off broiling it, and it just didn't have the same, because it wasn't the same thing. It didn't have the same texture. So after broiling it, it was still together, but then I just put it in the pan. So I was big on like canola oil and vegetable oil, and I started using the grapeseed oil a lot. So I used that to like fry it, so it still have like that crisp to it. And it was pretty good. Again, it was just the texture. Like I came close to the taste, but it was still like the texture of it. And I don't use bread in mine at all. So I just needed that, and crab cakes are already soft, but it still got a firmness to it. But I was trying to find the texture, and the taste was good, but I was still trying to emulate that texture for myself. So and I love crab cake.
I got something else for you that I want you to try. A completely different method and approach to your crab cake. So, you ever heard of heart of palm?
Yes.
Okay. So heart of palm would be the one of the, even palm tree or whatever you want to call it too.
Yeah, I know.
That would be the closest thing to the texture of the crab meat. What you could do now is change the dynamics because jackfruit has a very strong taste. You could change the base and make your base chickpea instead of using the jackfruit. Add the heart of palm chunks to the actual chickpea mix. Add some of that Old Bay, that Dulce, a little bit of you don't have to over season it. You can even add a little bit of breadcrumb, natural breadcrumb, or make your own breadcrumb. Put a little seasoning in that.
Can you put that back up for me, Monty? I couldn't see it. Can you put that back up? I was trying to read that. But yeah, so the texture of food, okay, the texture of the food is one thing. But I think the biggest thing, and I've been dealing with that for the last 2 weeks, is how we get full from it. It says, baby, I either eat all bread all the time or not at all. Bread is what separates something. I was almost there, but I'll read it. Oh. But the one thing that I've been struggling with the last 2 weeks is how you feel full. So when you eat, it's that idea because my schedule doesn't permit me to really sit down and eat three whole meals. It doesn't. Sometimes I'm eating on the go, and unfortunately, most times I'm eating late at night when I finally get back home, and then I'm rushing out the door in the morning. So I normally don't eat breakfast, but it was the idea of being full, so I kept trying to fill myself up. So I thought, I had 2 crab cakes, and I had made they have these cauliflower like tater tots.
Cauliflower bites,
I had those, and I was like, this don't feel like. Oh, let me make a salad, and I made a salad to go along with it, and I ate it, and I still didn't feel full. Now I wasn't hungry anymore, but I've rarely like eat on a schedule, but I was feeling like maybe I should eat. Should I eat 2 more crab cakes? Like. Am I full? And in your mind, you think because this is all like plants and herbs and substitute, I can eat more of it. And that's really not the deal because a lot of this stuff is going to run right through you. And you're never going to really, it's going to be like eating Chinese food. You never feel full. Like you just don't feel that, like I feel like I'm not hungry, but I no longer feel full.
Okay.
And I was eating too much of my damn food, and I was like, I paid too much money for this to be going already. But that full feeling, I didn't feel that after eating.
It's definitely a transition and a change. It's not the same thing, and I want you to understand, everybody listening too, that like a lot of the foods that we eat, like before we kind of transition into this vegan and this healthier lifestyle, or whatever you want to call it and name it, these foods are designed to make us feel heavy and kind of weigh us down. So when you're used to psychologically eating something and feeling a certain type of way, you're gonna kind of always be chasing that same feeling.
Yeah.
But what you have to realize too, jackfruit is still a fruit within itself. It's not an actual meat with a lot of things pumped up and added to it to make you feel a certain type of way or give you this certain type of feeling and kind of this kind of addictiveness. So it's really
But it was everything though. Like for some reason, none of it. And I was trying to like cook a little bit and kind of mix the processed stuff into it, so I wasn't eating all processed. But everything, even like the vegan spaghetti that I made, it's nothing really. And I'm not scared of that now. 2 weeks into like this straight vegan eating. But it was weird the first couple days or the first week or so, or when I was trying this at the beginning of the quarantine, I just didn't feel full. So I would try to eat something else to kind of fix that full feeling that I'm used to having when I eat.
Yeah. It's not gonna be the same. You know what I'm saying? I still feel like that now too. And I'm down to sometimes just having one shake in the morning time and having one meal out of the day. And that's enough to sustain me. But before, like I said, I was kind of stuck on having to eat 3 meals and this and the third. But more so now, I'm just focused on getting the nutrients in my body that I really need to sustain me throughout the day. And not eating as much and overeating and over consuming, because that's literally what we do. Like you talked about, like Popeyes. Let's think about a Popeyes meal. You get 2 pieces of chicken. You get a 2-piece. You get 2 pieces of chicken. You get in a side. You get in a biscuit, and you get in the drink. Now let's compare that to the meal that you just talked about and ate.
Yeah.
Those are 2 different comparisons, 2 different worlds, 2 different feelings. So it's like your body too is gonna probably kind of go through like a detox and a withdrawal, because it's like it's literally not the same component.
And it's not the same amount, and it's not as heavy or as saturated. And I'm just bringing up bullet points in terms of this, what this has been for me, because I've been looking through your pages. But like that, those are the first major issues. The second issue is obviously we're in a different space right now, so a lot of the markets have jacked stuff up. But in terms of cost, it can be very expensive to eat like that, because when we first got into quarantine, I was eating, like, for me, just by myself, maybe $30-$40, because I don't eat a lot of foods in general, but I was spending like maybe $30 or $40 on food a week, just going to the market and cooking, compared to like $80 if I'm trying to like substitute. And prepared frozen food sometimes costs more anyway, but it still was like I had to double, almost triple what I was normally spending on food. But how do we kind of be cost effective at this and not? And then produce, again, you gotta go every week for that. You can't just. I don't like freezing fresh food unless it's already frozen, because it don't normally taste right to me. But how do you kind of be cost effective in trying to be smart about what you're spending and eating at the same time?
Well,
in your opinion,
I definitely think it's definitely a learning process, and it's definitely depending on what's available. Like canned options, like canned beans. I use a lot of canned pinto beans, like organic canned pinto beans from like Aldi's, black beans from Aldi. Sometimes I buy the dry beans, and what you can do, that's in its natural form. And what you could do with that is you soak those ahead of time, and you cook those down, and then like you kind of, certain stuff you're gonna have to freeze, certain stuff you're gonna have to preserve in certain types of ways in order to kind of have stock. Like you could make your bean burgers and freeze them for a little while, and take them out, and they'll still be fresh. You know what I'm saying? You could
prepare the stuff and then freeze it.
Prepare it ahead of time. Like, say for instance, if you want to do canned stuff, you could do canned stuff. You could still prepare it and do it the same way. But if you want to go a step further and really make your food a little fresher, you could buy dry beans, like black beans, pinto beans, soak them, cook them, prep them down, like add whatever additives you want to add to them, and then like take them and store your stuff in the freezer. You could like I said, it depends on your schedule and your day. Everybody's situation is a little bit different.
Right.
So you said for somebody like you who's on the go a lot, or who may not have as much time to cook, you definitely might need to like have that specific day and make a menu for yourself and say, this is what I want to eat during the week. This is the snacks I want to partake in. I portionalize your meals, make them portionalized, put your like little fruits to the side for yourself. Make you maybe 2-3 different options, so you're just not eating the same thing over and over again, and you can kind of rotate what you do. Because I make meal prep, and when I do meal prep for my clients, I usually give them 2 meal options, and I give them 5 for 5 days out of the week, and I'll give them 3 of one option and 2 of one option. It usually comes with a snack, maybe some chips, some fresh popcorn, or it comes with maybe like a granola bar or some type of like Rice Krispie treat, or whatever the case may be. Or I might put like a vegan crab cake. I might do some vegan mac and cheese, do a fresh salad with that, and then put a nice little salad dressing, and then you have a meal for the week. But it all depends on kind of like where you are within your process and what works best for you, you know?
So that takes me to like the next point. So for me, I used to drink a lot of my calories. Like I don't drink alcohol or anything like that, but I'm a
Okay.
juice dude now. Um, what are some liquid? Not, instead of and not just smoothies and stuff, but in terms of like we like to drink with our meal as well. What are some options that we can kind of do that are less sugar, sugar, less sugar, less sugar options that are still give us the same kind of like I'm eating and I have like a drink with it.
Okay, so I drink a lot of lemonade. I'm big on
Okay.
lemonade. Lemonade, let me tell you why I'm big on lemonade. Lemons are really good for cutting fat. The
Okay.
acidity is a really good, and it's also good for cleansing your body overall and just cleansing your system. So lemons are amazing. You can have fresh lemon water, and you can easily add turbinado. Turbinado sugar is probably my favorite sugar to use. That's a natural
Say
sugar.
that again.
Turbinado sugar. So that's
Okay.
Turbinado. So it's
Okay.
turbinado sugar. That's one of the best sugars that I use when it comes to making any drink. I make
Is
a
that a
kale.
substitute or is that still like a raw form of sugar?
It's a raw, healthier form of sugar. So it's not
Okay.
processed the same way that the regular sugar that we get is processed.
Okay.
And it's definitely really good for drinks. Super, super good for drinks. I usually make like a kale lemonade that is very refreshing. I actually take little pieces of kale, I blend them up, put the turbinado sugar, put a little lemon, a little lime, and I blend it up, and I have a refreshing drink to go right along now with my meal. And it's also a great way to add some greens into my elements without it. And actually, the kale lemonade doesn't taste overpowering. It's not like you just tasting kale. It's like you having a nice, refreshing kind of like almost like a little greenish lemonade.
Maybe like a ginger lemonade will be more like hitting you where the kale is a smoother.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It's kind of just like, yo, ooh, that feels real good. It's light and refreshing. And then the biggest thing too is that you don't want to feel heavy after a meal. You want to feel light and energized. Like that's the
Right.
goal too. Like you're not supposed to feel heavy and weighed down. You want your day to be continuous. You want to be able to go on your flow. So you definitely
Yeah.
need light things. Like, and
So in terms of choosing a meal prep or like, because I'm trying to figure out what my coins look like, so Janae can hook that up. But how would one prepare for that? Like how should I go into, especially when you're limited in the types of food you can eat? Like I mean, like being vegan, of course. I'm not saying limited, but how would I prepare for that, or how would you suggest we kind of wean ourselves into doing more meal prepping? Because that could be like a half a day of work sometimes.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like you really like just how we schedule everything else. We really do have to. The best way to really accomplish what you want with your food goals. Honestly, I think this should be the focus on food. Sometimes should actually be at the top of the list. And I
Right.
say that because if you feel good, you're able to operate good.
Hmm.
It's a different feeling when you kind of rushing and then you left with the option of I gotta go out and buy something that's gonna end up making me feel bad and put me in this place of like guilt and shame because it's like, damn, I know I'm not supposed to be eating it, but I'm
Yeah.
hungry right now, and that's what I gotta do. You really have to schedule your food and schedule your day within your food because if not, it's really gonna get out of your hands, and you're gonna
Yeah.
kind of be in that cycle of like,
Going out and getting something to eat versus choosing a healthier option. Because even going eating out for vegan is like, one, your portions are normally smaller and it costs twice as much more sometimes. So I am learning that it is easier to just cook it yourself. And I cook, but again, like my kitchen has never really been used in the 7 years that I've been in my place. So
oh wow,
but I use it when we're like stuck in for the winter or it's bad weather, or like one day if I decide to like stay at home. But this is this is not my typical. So once we get back to a new norm, um, uh, I want to be doing things that I can keep up, because right now I just have the time to have something cooking while I'm doing my show. versus having to, wait until after 10, 12. Because on Fridays, we normally have 3 shows back to back, and the last show is at like 11. So I'm normally getting home at maybe like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And you don't really want to eat at that time. So you're grabbing something that's quick, that's available, or you're ordering out. And I'm trying hard. And what I eat already is limited. So now having to not even be able to eat those things and having to switch to a whole different mindset has been the struggle. But when you are, I guess, consulting with somebody who is going to use you as a meal prep person, what are some of the questions that you're asking them in terms of how you decide what options you have for them?
So great thing that you asked that. I sent them a questionnaire. It's probably about, matter of fact, I can pull it up on my phone right now and just actually read you the question so that you go.
So this is my consultation. I'm just letting you know that, JJ.
This is your consultation. I'm gonna give you these simple questions right here, and this is the process that I go through, because I also want people to be I'm a very intentional person, and I want what I'm doing to be intentional for other people too. So it's like I really want to put you in a position where you kind of do something that's comfortable for you and it's not overwhelming. Like my goal is not to overwhelm you, because at the end of the day too, I have to understand that I'm in a different space than you are, but I was once where you were in terms of like, I used to eat anything. Like I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So convenience was the corner store, the Chinese food restaurant, and every fast food restaurant you could think of in my area. I used to eat terribly. Like I would eat anything that was around until I started to become conscious and aware. Like, okay, well, I don't really know if I like how these things are making me feel anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think it's.
And I feel the difference now. And for me, I never had any health problems, and all of my health issues now, which is only like 1 or 2 of them, are all stemming back from diet. And I don't want to be a person that gets their foot cut off or like get bad news in that way. And it's scary because I don't think people realize the older you get, the I don't think the slower, but your body begins to change in terms of how it processes food in general. And it happens at different phases for people, but I didn't really start feeling it until 35. And the last year and a half has really been like eye-opening, because you'll eat something that your body will instantly like, no, this ain't what I need. Try again. You feel it in various ways, and it's scary because that makes me feel like a senior citizen almost. Like I have to really watch what I eat and watch the intake. And I never was a huge eater, but what would happen is I would eat too late, and by the time you wait till nighttime to eat, you're gonna really overeat. Because look, you're sitting in your bed or you're comfortable at home, and you can eat a little bit more versus during the day. You can kind of judge like how much you can eat, and just having a 7-Eleven being the only thing that's near your work is like, oh, I can't eat like that. No, no Totinos for me no more. But yeah, so what are some of the questions that's on that list?
Yeah, let me show you I'll tell you right now. So the first question I have on the list is, what would you like to accomplish with weekly meal prep? So the first thing I want to know is like, what do you want to accomplish? You know what I'm saying? Where are you at?
For me, it would just be like, just getting myself out of so right now everything is pre. You're possibly going to be diabetic. You're possibly going to be anemic. I want to get myself out of that phase.
Okay.
Of, like, not in that danger zone, the warning zone of things. It's not, I don't want to look bad. I'm already sexy, but I just want to get myself out of that.
I understand. So you just want
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's on you. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, your sound. Oh, there you go.
There I go. Yeah, that was me. I guess my internet was a little iffy. The biggest thing that we use for is consistency. It's like, as long as we're consistent with things, that's when we see results. The biggest thing that we have when it comes to, like I said, when it comes to diet, we don't schedule the diet. We just eat. We just moving. We just eat. But if it's
Right.
consistent and it's planned, you're more likely to achieve your goal because now you're like, I made a plan. Oh, I
Right.
have my food available for me, and I'm not trying to spend no more money. This is what I'm eating right now, and I know that this is
Right.
better for my health and better
Right.
for my longevity. So this is what I got to do.
So, what's the schedule like? Do you prep for people on a weekly basis, or like about a month, or how often is your meal prep?
I do meal prep on Sundays. So this
Uh-huh.
is where you can start your week fresh. I usually do 5 meals for folks. And this way the
Okay.
weekend you can kind of like, if you want to eat out a little bit or kind of have a little fun or do your own stuff, it gives you the opportunity to have that freedom and get ready back for the week. But I give people 5 meals. And like I said, it usually comes very portionalized. I give like, I think the last meal prep I did vegan crab cakes. I
Okay.
did vegan mac and cheese. I did a fresh salad with some tomatoes and like a Italian kind of garlic herb dressing. Then I
Okay.
did like a nice snack. I did some popcorn and then I did like a caramel Rice Krispie treat, but it was like really,
Okay.
really, really, really healthy. And then what else I did? And then sometimes I do fresh fruit and I kind of mix it up. And then I did like a pinto bean burger for the other meal. So you had like two things to kind of go
So
along
have
with.
you just been cooking in this phase of your life, or were you always a
Uh,
cook, or when did that
I
come?
wasn't. I wasn't always a cook. I was only focused on music. Before moving to Baltimore, I was only focused on music. I've been in Baltimore for
Okay.
about going on. I would say 3 years and some change. I don't know what it is
Okay.
about this place. There's a beautiful spirit here, but my life
Baltimore get
definitely
you.
it has it's changed my
Baltimore get
life.
you.
It
Uh,
gave my life, it gave me purpose and meaning, and I honestly found myself here. Before I came here, I feel like I was just I was getting to the place where I am now, but like really coming here made me tap
right.
in and tune into what was really important.
Because I mean, I guess the dynamic of New York being a place where resources are overflowing, so it can be overwhelming.
For
And
sure.
Baltimore is overwhelming in the exact opposite way. Like you have to really get into it. You got to really want it to be here. In New York, you can fake it a little bit, but here you gotta really want it to be able to find it and locate it and then keep it going. So I can
Yeah, that's
imagine,
for sure.
especially in music.
Yeah, that I think the music part and just trying to be this, you gotta compete with people in New York. It's just competitive.
You're
It's
right,
kind of like everybody's always want that one up. What's that new? What's that? It's New York, so it's
right.
kind of like that, But I wanted to get away from that because I kind of also felt that it was very unhealthy to
Yeah.
my success, and I didn't really feel like I was progressing anymore. And
Right, right.
it was
It's
time
it's
for
one of
change.
those. New York is one of them places where you go there to live once you've already been established,
Okay.
or like you
Yeah.
can travel there and build your establishment as you're going back and forth, like Atlanta or LA or now
Okay.
Florida. But Baltimore is a place where you can live here, you can develop yourself, and it's close to like a lot of major places, so you can get to places. But yeah, that New York is I love that feeling of crossing the street and there's a million people walking with you and against you at the same time. But it that on a daily basis, I've lived there for like weeks at a time. You got to be established. I want to be established, so I don't I don't have to do that. I
Nah.
don't have to be faced with that every day. But in terms of just building this as a business, when did this become a business for you? Cooking.
2018 is I started off. I really started off food blogging, and
Okay.
a lot of people used to, somebody hit me up and asked me to vend, and I
Okay.
was already kind of creative in the kitchen at home because I live like around a lot of international supermarkets. I go to like the Asian supermarket a lot, the Indian supermarket, so I usually go to a lot of places, and I'm very experimental.
Right.
So I started experimenting a lot, and that led me to cooking and vending. And then I started doing a lot more pop-ups, and then I started really changing and shifting. And then once I made a shift within my diet, I was like, well, I'm not gonna feed people things I'm not eating. Like ultimately I want my community to be better. So I feel like if I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna share it and I'm gonna tell everybody else too. And I'm gonna make it in a way too where it's like you still can have fun with it and it still could be really good and exciting. It's just the approach to it and the mindset and really just kind of having the access to get to some of these things or, figuring out a creative way to like put your own spin on it. Because food is amazing.
Right.
I don't care what it is.
Baltimore is infamous for its food deserts, especially in the inner city parts. It's infamous for food deserts. Like you can probably go miles before you get to, like, we're living in the country almost. That's what it feels like. But do you have some ideas or some strategies that you may be thinking of to kind of help people who want to start this new way of eating or dieting, that a food desert can also be like, I live in this area and you would think that we would have more, but the major market that's right here where I'm at is very limited with the produce and some of the healthier options. You can find them, but they're still like shrunken. It's like more of a, taste tester versus this options. Have you thought about some strategies in terms of helping people to combat these food deserts?
The biggest thing I've been on is self-sufficiency. And the thing that I'm learning now, which I, in turn want to learn to teach people, is learning how to grow food hydroponically. So growing food indoors with water. So not having to actually have an soil and have a garden and all that stuff, actually being able to maybe even grow food within your room. So the first thing I'm actually going to start planting and growing, which is very simple and easy, is lettuce. I'm going to start there. And I'm going to kind of I have a book. I've kind of been like doing a lot of research and just kind of like really tapping back into the natural resources of things and getting people into the mindset of you are your own resource. Because it's kind of like, let's think about it like this. A lot of our money goes on food. But if we eliminated the middleman in a sense, right? And we were our own supermarket, our own market, and we were able to sustain ourselves enough to create food no matter where we were and what we were doing, that would eliminate a lot of the problems. Because like if all of the supermarkets and stuff closed or whatever, and you really had to go outside somewhere in the wild, it's like you have to kind of question, like, where would I get my water from? Where would I source my water? That's number one. Right. And how would I eat? And how would I also be able to like kind of like clean my water, keep it safe from bacteria and certain stuff like that? Or how would I also be able to grow my food in a way where I can still have it in an environment where I'm able to still utilize my space like a normal living space? Because if you're trying to grow a garden and a farm, that
your sound went out again. Your sound went out. There you go. It's back. It's back. Yeah, you back.
So
that's a big. I see a lot of people move into that because even planting a garden outside in the city could be a little dangerous with all the rodents. But finding alternatives to that, because I think, and what I discovered even in this, or when it's a blizzard or something, like the fruit in my market where I'm at right now went up at least $4, like instantly. Like it wasn't even, and it's not even that much of a variety of it, but it went up. And I think in us showing them that, hey, I'm gonna plant my own food, they won't have a choice but to charge us the regular rate for stuff. And stop trying to make a 400% or 500% profit on food. And it's not even healthy food at that.
But that's the thing that we gotta realize too, though. Like the food is kind of like the poison. That's a really big way to control people, and you control it through the additives and the things that they add that we kind of get addicted to. In my opinion, food is a drug as well as anything else. You know what I'm saying? But it's that drug that is because you have to eat it and it's essential. It's like one of those drugs that you're not conscious of because it's like, I gotta eat.
Yeah. And it's about convenience too. That has been the hardest part for me, the convenience of going to the market and getting a tray of the chicken. And just instead of cooking it, I'll just get them to prepare it and I can eat on that for a couple of days. It's the convenience of doing that. I understand like moments like this where you got all your children home all day long. What am I going to feed them? I can't afford to feed them 3 square meals and a snack, and it's all vegan prices. Like, and I have really been researching a lot of different options, like farming, to source food, because even with your seasonings and your herbs, that becomes the herbs alone. I was going out just to buy seasons, and I spent just as much on the seasons as I did on the food. And I'm like, this is crazy. Why am I spending like almost $8 on because I was looking at the pink salt, like on pink salt. Like
Yeah.
what is
Do you drive?
I don't drive, but I live in proximity, like right across the street from the market. So it's not
Okay.
like a distance I have to go, but I, I'm looking at options. So I went down to Whole Foods last week, and it was just thinking about just different ways of eating. And I used to go to Trader Joe's when I lived out Towson, but just trying to find alternatives, because even those options, it's still expensive. It's still, expensive. I thought about going to the Asian market up on Route 40 and seeing like
No,
what
you
they had.
should. You should. You should.
Yeah.
You
Is
definitely should
that
go
is
there.
that are you familiar with that one?
I've been. That was one of the first Asian supermarkets I visited when I came. When I was like kind of out exploring, and I actually had a chef take me there. And they have a
Yeah.
lot of like markets and stuff like that. You're gonna definitely find produce and certain stuff cheaper. Now, and then you'll
Right.
also discover one thing too. You'll discover about markets like that too. They're gonna have fruits and vegetables that the normal supermarkets won't
Don't
have.
worry. Yeah.
So it's like now
Yeah.
too, you get a chance to like kind of like spruce up your kitchen and like get some new fruits and add some new dynamics to your
Yeah. Yeah.
plate. And colors are very important too. Like foods and colors, certain colors like red food, focus on certain things, yellow food. So having different colors in your food and having different fruits and these components also make a difference. You
Is
gotta
this
think
a
about
part of
colors.
your? Is this a part of it? Is it, or will it be a part of your business too, to kind of educate people in this way, or are you doing? Because I think that made the difference to me. That's why, like, I I've been watching Tabitha for like the last almost 3 years now. Ariana, great information and helpful. Thank you, Ariana. But it really helped me to uh, just having her do it in a way that other people wasn't doing it, because she understands how we like to eat, like
Of
us
course.
black people. So that's what it made the difference to me, because I don't want to eat rubber bands, with a little season on it. I want to eat
No,
food that I'm used to eating, but I want to eat them in maybe a healthier way, or
for sure.
find ways to kind of switch out the meat and put in, something that's like the heart of palm, or the mushrooms. Like I started eating more mushrooms in my food, because I started realizing it had a meatier taste to it. So I'm just the taste, my money, and the convenience of it. Those are the three, I think, aspects for me that I'm looking for in this. I want to be healthier, but I have to pay attention to the bottom line. How much is this going to cost every week? Or, how convenient is this? Am I going to have to take my Sundays now and do meal prep? What does that mean for me? And on by Thursday, when I'm tired of eating, this one thing, like what can I do when I'm out? Because I travel sometimes. So when I'm out, what can I do? Like, can I carry food? Can I still go get stuff and bring it back to my hotel room? What are some things I could do to like do some microwave meals if I'm in a hotel room? Or, I go down to New Orleans almost once a year. You can't vegan. I wish you would tell one of the mamas down there you want to eat vegan. But what what are you going to eat when you're out and about, versus, you can control it when you're home, but how do I control it when I'm out? Do you have some? Because I know you do it like restaurants. You go around to different restaurants. What are some options that you would suggest when we're out and about eating?
I'm sorry, I had lost you for a little bit. It's just the last thing I heard was that you said you traveled to New Orleans a lot.
That's what I'm saying. So when I travel, or when, time doesn't permit, say, I'm gone all day long and I've eaten all the stuff that I prepped, but I need something else to eat, or I left my lunch home. What are some options when we're out eating, like at restaurants? What are some on the go options?
Okay. That could be tough. And then you also mentioned a microwave just now, so I heard that too. I don't even use microwaves anymore. Like
Okay.
even when I'm kind of like even I've completely kind of took that out of my life. So I kind of get out of this idea of like having, like, I want my food to be as fresh as possible. So if that kind of means me sacrificing it being a little warmer than I want it to be, I'm okay with that. You get what I'm saying? Because to me, microwaves take away the quality, the taste, and it takes a whole nother level and component out of the food.
Right.
So I don't even encourage, I'm not even going to encourage you to even microwave. Now I understand that you might have to, because maybe you might have to. But even if I go to 7-Eleven, right? I now I've actually done this stuff, like where I've kind of tested in 7-Eleven. What can I eat now that I don't eat the same anymore?
Right.
I'm trying to think about if I have a picture of. There's these little fig bars called Nature's Way.
Yeah.
You ever heard of those?
Yeah, I have.
Nature's Way to me is probably one of the most convenient, inexpensive kind of little treats that if I'm in 7-Eleven that I'm gonna grab and go and snack on. I'll probably maybe get me they sometimes have these there's these particular tortilla chips that I like. It's a brand called Late July, and it's kind of like I don't know if it's kind of like in this really vibrant green bag. I actually got a picture of them on my page as well too, because I show a lot of snacks that I buy from stores and drinks and little stuff too, just to kind of show people stuff. And going back to seasonings, if you get a chance, take a trip to TJ Maxx or like Ollie's or one of these,
or something like that,
and buy your stuff in bulk. You could buy a whole bag of Himalayan sea salt for $4. Get the refillable containers and keep refilling it, and then just buy it that way. Or they also have like a lot of unique seasonings, which are half the price of what you're gonna pay in a regular supermarket. Because a regular supermarket is gonna overcharge you. I don't care where you are.
Yeah.
You gotta find the places and the things. Like, no commercial supermarkets are here to save us money. Like, let's be real. They're not gonna save you any money. So a lot of times I buy stuff from like Marshall's, Ollie's. I go to different places for different things.
Right.
Whole Foods and Mom's, they're expensive. Point blank period. I don't buy all of my fresh stuff from there. Sometimes I go to Aldi's for certain things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you kind of really have to find what works for you, and you have to really make the time for your food. So if you do have that free Sunday, or you have time, or you have somebody that's willing to take you somewhere, take you on a trip, I would say get your stuff, stock up, date your stuff, and be like, this is when I purchased this, so you know when it's gonna go bad for you.
Yeah.
Keep a list of the things that you really need that are very essential into having like you need your essentials. So you're gonna need some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder. Buy all of these things in large abundances. Like even too with BJ's, I think at BJ's one time I brought like a garlic powder and a cayenne pepper, and that lasted me for months. I brought like the McCormick, the big one.
Right.
I had that for about 2-3 months. I still have the cayenne pepper now. I'm not even worried about that. And I cook a lot. So
yeah. It's just and that's in this moment I keep going back to this. I didn't know how much time I didn't have to be able to do a lot of this stuff. And again, that's what I'm trying to look at now. Like, how can I prepare myself for when we get back to another space, when we are going back out to work and we're going back out and doing things? What can I do to kind of balance things off so I'm not killing myself, but I'm also making sure that I have that time? Because food for me is really important, because I'm already like limited now as to what I can eat and even what I like to eat. That puts me in a small space. But I'm really thinking more about the farming aspect and some of the things. Like, I like green peppers. I'm starting to like onions a little bit more, and I like mushrooms. So figuring out some things that I can like make myself, and I don't want a whole like acre of farmland in my apartment.
You just want that for you.
So what you said, a lot of things that we can do in house. Like what would you suggest we start off with? Like, if we could do like maybe 4 things, what are some things that would be beneficial financially too for us to start off with?
I got my book literally sitting right here. I'm gonna pull my book out too, so I can literally show you.
Okay. It is, and this is really for anybody that's listening. This is really like my kind of journey that I'm going through right now, and how I'm trying to plan and get ahead of myself in terms of how I'm eating now. And it's not. I've tried this several times before. I always used to start out. I would do a cleanse. I would fast, and I would try to get my body back to a norm, a balanced place, and then I would try it, but I would never really stick to it because we busy people, everybody booked and busy. But it takes moments like this to kind of sit us down and get us to go. But you said you had a book.
Yeah, I have a book right here.
Uh-huh.
And like I was telling you, I'm looking to start growing
Can you hold it
hydroponically.
up for us?
Yeah. Can you see it? Can y'all see it?
Yeah, we can say it now. Okay, okay.
I got this book for free, actually, from Instagram, from a link.
Oh,
And I just paid for the shipping, and they shipped the book to me. Somebody sent me the
cool.
link. I'm not sure the name of the company, but I had the link, and I can actually send the link to you.
Okay.
And from there, you can go ahead on and you can actually order it for yourself. But one of the easiest things that you can actually plant and cook is lettuce.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know
Okay.
why I said cook, but one of the easiest things to plant and actually grow is lettuce, spinach,
Mhm.
kale, beans, tomatoes. What else do we have in here? Strawberries, blueberries, cucumbers, radishes.
Now I've been using more the leafy greens like lettuce. I tried the collard, but I like the spinach better. I've been using that as a wrap. Now I've been trying to because I don't like regular wraps, and I've tried different flavors of it. This the texture of it I'm not enjoying, but I've been using those for my alternative bread for the most part,
Yeah. My
and it
screen,
kind of helps too.
you keep going in and out too, so
I'm
I
sorry.
don't no, it's fine. Would you mind repeating the last thing that you said?
No, I was saying I would enjoy growing the lettuce because
Okay.
it really has helped me to substitute out eating wraps.
Okay.
Because I thought wraps were healthier, but I realized they're not that much more healthier than eating regular bread, and it doesn't taste as well to me. I don't like the taste of wraps. They
Oh
just feel
yeah.
like they're not done. Like I need to cook them or something. But
Okay. So you like wraps, right?
I do. I do.
Okay. Do you are you into like have you had like Beyond Meat? Do you eat that? Have you ever tried the Beyond Meat?
I've tried it. I've only ever tried it like the Burger King one, but
Okay.
other
Okay.
than that,
Oh, that's Impossible Meat.
Yeah,
That's different.
that's different. So
Yeah.
what's the difference? What's the difference?
The Impossible Meat and the Beyond Meat, they taste completely different. I would say the
Okay.
Impossible Meat and the texture. To me, I've tried the Impossible Meat before, and it tastes more like a burger than any other of the meats that I've had. Like,
Well,
'cause
they
I've
say
tried a
that's
lot of
because they
stuff.
cooking it on the same grill too.
But no, it's honestly it's the texture and the way that whatever they're using to actually make the meat have that texture.
Okay.
It's very very similar to the actual burger. It's just not as juicy.
But that's not bean though. It's not bean.
I'm not sure. It might be like some type of pea protein. They use
Okay.
like pea protein a lot to kind of spruce things up. So
Okay.
I don't know exactly everything that they put in some of these things, but I know for the Beyond Meat, because I use Beyond Meat from time to time when I go to moms and stuff. I'll actually buy the burger patties and I'll kind of like, chop it up and then I'll make lettuce.
Okay. I've tried I've tried I think that was probably similar to what I tried because they have it in the market as
So that
crumble.
some crumble,
Yeah.
and it's very light, nice, and refreshing, and it's very straight to the point. So it's not like you know what I'm saying. You still kind of get that little bit of meatiness.
Yeah.
And it, you know what I'm saying. And like you said, lettuce is really good too because not only that, they provide hydration for our body because they're mostly water as well. So on top of that, it's also an added bonus.
Now that was in terms of cooking with that, it was very easy because I treated it like it was turkey, like ground turkey, and it really just took on whatever flavor. I tried it with the tacos.
Okay.
I even I mixed in, like, I crushed up some butter beans and I kind of put it into like little balls and made the meatballs out of it. Um, and it was just trying to find ways to still cook the same thing. Like, how do you keep stuff together? And I'm realizing a lot of the recipes use like the chickpeas, or it was
The
another
flour.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, to kind of combine stuff together. But like for me, it would be, I could eat burgers all day long. If I could find different recipes for burgers, that would be awesome for me. Because and meatballs. That's one of the things that I love to cook the most because I like spaghetti. So
Okay.
I like these alternatives because a lot of this stuff we didn't know about these things before, or it wasn't as many recipes that gave you variation. So we were limited as to
That is
what we could
true.
eat. And a lot of things were like chickpea based or just salad. And I'm, I realized the last time I tried this, I can't eat a lot of soy and tofu. Like, men aren't supposed to indulge in that because it's making our estrogen balance higher than our testosterone. So it's not as healthy for us to like. And I think we weren't even supposed to be eating soy to begin with. But it's a lot of conflicting information, and there's a lot of misinformation that keeps people who want to eat this way long term from kind of indulging in it. Like, there's not that
Yeah.
many options, and then realizing you still can be fat and vegan. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point?
That's
But
very true.
right. So I saw you doing something else on your Instagram page, and I think that your Instagram is Janae Food.
Yeah. JJ and Foods. Yep.
And I saw you. I think you were in a park and you had found a spring of water. Like,
Yep.
how? So how? So what were you like? Was it like a special water, or was it coming from a
So
certain place, or?
I have a friend that a long time ago he was talking to me about he talked about him getting water, his actual water from an actual spring. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, like for real? You get water from a spring? I would like to experience that. So one day he took me and another friend, he took us out to this spring in Marriottsville where it's literally fresh water coming from a spring, not
Right.
tainted, nothing wrong with it. You literally, let me show you, I got my 3-gallon container actually right next to me. I took this big 3-gallon container with me, and I filled it up, and I drank all of the water in here. And the experience of just doing it was like, it was super spiritual. It was different because it was like I never really had a chance to see where my water came from. Like, I just drink water from the tap and from a bottle. Like, I'm never really consciously aware of like, okay, like where is the water actually coming from? And like, what's in it? And what makes the water actually safe to drink? And what makes it not safe to drink? And so I started saying that I'm gonna keep going back to the spring and testing the water and sharing the information and knowledge because water is a very important thing on our list that we kind of forget and we don't realize too, because the alkalinity in the water and certain types of components in the water make it healthy and not so healthy. I don't really believe that the tap water is the healthiest option. It's healthy enough for us to drink, but it's just got stuff in it to pretty much stabilize it, but not actually be that beneficial to our skin and to our insides. Because like even taking showers with some of the water that I take showers with, I notice that it's very harsh on my skin and it dries out my skin.
Well, we have to take into consideration too. Sometimes the water is okay, but Baltimore has a lot of old houses, so the pipe work hasn't been changed. So all of those metal composites and all that, those minerals from that mixing, and then we're drinking it, and it's just
no good.
Yeah. I'm trying to not be that person that's spending $30 on water every week, but I can tell the difference.
Free.
Right.
$3.99.
Yeah.
If I got 3 of these, I got 9 gallons of water now that'll last me for a long period of time. That's free. That's fresh. Hasn't been tainted. I can actually test the water myself. Because you can buy strips. And like I said, it's all about really, really just kind of like tapping in. We're not aware because like if we think about everything that we do, especially living in the city, like it's not really like tuning you into nature. Like a lot of things are getting you to buy and spend money and be a consumer more so than it is to actually like save your life.
Right,
So
right, right.
normally and naturally, your first instinct is not going to be like, I'm about to go to this spring, bring my 3-gallon container and go get me some water. Like most people not thinking like that. Like you said, most people are thinking convenience and they want to eat.
Right, right. And
But
it's and it and I'm trying to wean myself off of just the convenience of stuff. I do treat myself uh now, but even scheduled that more so because I don't want to like get overwhelmed with this because transitioning to this, like I said before, I was told how to transition into this before, and you would go to like I would go to get colonics, and then I would go do my fasting, and then I would try to like so I could be at zero when I started, and it was just down with so many options. But now, even so, we have more options. You still have to like really research, like going to a spring water, go and get spring water. Like that's a we're not thinking about. Okay, I can go here to get my water, and I may can go to the farmers market to get better fruit or vegetables, or I can go here. We're not thinking about that. We've all like I moved into my apartment because it was downtown. I was right across the street from a market. I'm not that far from the interstate. I can get to where I want to get to if I need to.
mm-hmm.
But I didn't think about, you know, what that market had inside of it. Was it beneficial? I just wasn't. I'm being honest. I wasn't there yet. At that time, I was still eating out almost every day of the week. But I is now it's very important to me my health. But I didn't know how important my food intake was to my health because I was like, if I'm exercising and I'm like trying to get it together, I can have some Popeyes. I'm gonna work that off, but not when that Popeyes will swell your feet up like instantly. That's not really the best method to it. What tell us about your brand and all the different components of it. Like, what are you building now?
So ultimately, my goal is to literally just educate and introduce our folks, people of color, to
Hmm.
different types of foods and untraditional, and like different methods of approaches to food. Like say for
Right.
instance, the other day too, when I was out on the grill, I took the jackfruit outside with me, and I don't use canned jackfruit. I buy jackfruit. Jackfruit comes from India, so I actually
Hmm.
go to an Indian market and I buy the jackfruit frozen, and it's a
Hmm.
young jackfruit because it's you can buy the jackfruit in its like natural state, and when it's ripe, it's sweet. But I buy the unripe jackfruit, which is the young jackfruit, the young green jackfruit, which allows you when you break it down, it's not sweet, so you can obviously season it however you want. So I
Okay.
decided to too, I want to make a pulled chicken, a pulled pork sandwich, or whatever, And I call it these things too purposefully because sometimes we have to kind of like it's a way to kind of get people on board. Like we like you said, we like comfort food. We like
Yeah.
foods that are rich and kind of feel certain types of ways, certain things that we grew up with in traditions, macaroni and cheese. These things are
Yeah.
staples within the Black community. It's just
Right.
about now taking it and just putting it another spin on it. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take the jackfruit and I'm gonna grill it, kind of make it smoky. I'm gonna have it in a different way. And not only that, I could make it as a sandwich. I could top it on my salad. I could do whatever I want with it. I could take it. I could make it into cake and fry it up. So it's
Yeah.
just like really just taking things from a way and a perspective and just saying, you know what? Like, how can I show people how to be creative with this one food item? Like, I could get you to make 5 different things now with jackfruit, or get you to think
Hmm.
about it, or get you to think
It's all and for me it's all about variety. So because that variety
about.
helps us with being cost effective. So if I can think of 5 things to do, I can buy more of that jackfruit and maybe sprinkle that, freeze some, make some this week and make different things. And now I'm not spending. quadruples, $150, $300 every time I go to the market. But now I'm cost effective. It may take me a couple more stops, or I may have to go a little bit further to that market. But that's how I discovered the Asian market on Route 40, because I was looking for. I wanted to see what jackfruit looked like fresh, because I've seen the can, and I stopped eating canned foods a long time ago, only because of the salt and the preservatives. I was having circulation issues, but I got the jackfruit that was already like in the bag, like it was already in a certain season already,
Okay.
in the cold section. But I wanted to see what like a real jackfruit looked like. I wanted to see like what it looked like before they kind of break it down and put it in the can. Or so that's how I found that when somebody suggested that I go there, because they had some at that market at the time. But it was really it really for me again, it's just I like variety. I don't like eating the same thing every day. But I had gotten into that habit because it was cost effective. So I was eating chicken every day. I would just make it different, or add a sauce to this one, or add a add a different side order, because it became cost effective and it was convenient. But I'm trying to look beyond the convenience and figure out how I can get the same thing in this different way.
Yeah.
So in terms of your brand, what are some of the things that you would want people to have in place before they come to you for meal preps? Because you only do vegan or vegetarian meal
Yeah,
prep. Okay.
I've no longer doing seafood, any meat. I'm not doing any of those things because I just feel like I said, I don't want to give anybody anything that I'm not really eating anymore.
Right.
Like whatever
Right.
I'm eating is what I want to feed my people, and
Okay.
that's what I want to do. Honestly, you can come to me as you are, and I also tell people like I understand that it's a process. So sometimes I've had people following me for a while, and maybe for a year, and they might just now be ready for that vegan meal. But the
Hmm.
fact that the thing that I love about social media is that it brings that awareness. I'm just here for the awareness. You get what I'm saying? I'm just here to be somebody of color to show you that it's possible. Just like
Possible.
we spoke about Tabitha. Tabitha
Yeah.
is here to show us that it's possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My goal too is to travel the world. Like I really want to go to India and kind of get more into a lot of different things and find out more about superfoods and different types of foods and different foods that we're actually eating a lot of, and the difference that they can make with our lives and our bodies. And, also kind of like getting us to think more on a larger scale when it comes to food as well. You
Right.
know what I'm
So
saying?
that was one of the things that I had to kind of think about when I was like, oh, am I going to do this? Am I going to really invest this time into thinking about it? Because I was thinking about what I couldn't eat. I didn't really give myself the thought process of like what I could eat, because I was realizing a lot of foods that were supposed to be healthy weren't necessarily healthy. Thank you for 7 minutes. It wasn't as healthy for me long term. Like I was trying to change out a lot of my food and eat more fruit, and then my sugar jumped up because I wasn't thinking about what I was eating. I was just trying to be healthy, but now I wanted it to be more of a
Balance.
I wanted to be more purposeful and just really think it out a little bit more, because I was getting frustrated. Like I was yelling at my doctor, like, "How you gonna tell me like my sugar's up and all I've been doing is eating grapes and apples?" And she was like, "Well, those things have sugar in them, so therefore overeating them will like raise your sugar up." And I was like, I'm confused because we was told to eat more fruits and vegetables, and I was doing that, but I wasn't really eating enough really dark greens to really help me out. And you gotta like think about the logistics of what you're eating. So I was one of the people who watched What the Health and was like, oh, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. But you go break back to the way you were eating because it's convenient, it's more cost effective, and it's what you're used to, is your comfort zone. So this is like this whole process for me has been difficult this time because I don't have a choice but to be like, stick to it. Because what else? I'm still working, but I'm still working at home every day, all day. So even with working, I could be cooking something on the stove and walk a couple feet and be there. But it's really it's forcing me to do it. Even when I'm eating out now, I'm looking through the menu more than I used to. Like, oh shit, it's always been on your menu. Okay, let me let me try this. I didn't know you had this on your menu. Because I literally will go to, like, one of my favorite restaurants is Mount Vernon Stable, and I'll
Okay.
go there and I'll eat the same thing because it's comfortable. I know how I have a weak stomach, so I know what it's going to do to my stomach. I know how much time I can, indulge before I got to get home and take care of my stomach. But I was really happy to come across your page because I'm looking for people who are in arm's reach that I can have these conversations with. That's not this a personality that's telling me how to eat. And thanks 5 minutes, but somebody that's really doing it themselves, honestly doing it, and not cheating. Because I made that mistake. I made that mistake saying uh, going to restaurants thinking just because they were vegan that I was doing a good thing to myself.
No,
Um, Go
yeah.
ahead.
I just want to make a point. Like, get out. Like, food is healing. So, who prepares your food, how your food is prepared, makes a big difference on your health. Because overall, going back to what I was saying, it's really about the intentionality behind the food. It's not so much
Right.
sometimes too. You can go to a vegan restaurant, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be healthy for you. That the people cooking that food, that intention and everything that go every level and layer is really what's going to transform your life. It's not the
Yeah.
other way
Yeah.
around. You know what I'm saying? And then you
Hmm.
cooking your food and not being so focused on convenience and really planning and scheduling will allow you to get the results and be as healthy as you need to be because now it's intentional for you. You've now made the time in your day to say, no, right now at this time, I'm making my shake today. I'm putting my greens in it. I'm putting my fruits in this. I'm putting my little bit of moringa in there, my superfood, and I'm gonna get my little bit of components in there and drink that. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna
Okay.
make sure I have my salad. A great way too that I get a lot of the nutrients that I need is I drink them in my smoothie. I put my banana, I put my spinach, I put my moringa powder. I'll throw a little bit of this, a little bit of that, whatever works for me. That's
Hmm.
another really good way to start your day off, and also to kind of wean you off of feeling like you kind of got to eat so much food. I used to
Yeah.
think that I had to eat 3 meals a day. I don't eat like that anymore. My body honestly really can't even take it anymore.
Mm.
I'm good on a smoothie, and I'm good on maybe 2 to 3, well maybe like 2 meals at most, a meal, and I have my little snacks in between, and I eat my fruits and stuff like that.
Right. It's just really creating a new platform for yourself and a way of doing it. So that's why I stopped using the word diet a long time ago because
Yeah,
people get
unhealthy.
caught up in it being something that I do for this amount of time and then that to set me straight. But a diet is simply what you eat and how long you are going to indulge in that is really up to you. But if you can't do this for the rest of your life, it's really not going to be beneficial. And I was never really a fad diet. I think I tried the Metabolite pills, and I felt like I was on crack. And I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. This not. Mm-mm. I was
That's
like, I
another
went
thing
through like
too.
8 different emotions within an hour, and I was like, no, this not good. This crack. I'm not doing that. Right, and I couldn't sustain
Nah.
stuff like that, like only eating, only juicing, only like your body it needs certain nutrients, and you gotta give it because I'm realizing now as I'm getting older, if you don't do these things on a consistent basis, like simply drinking water, like we kind of think about it, we don't really think about if I drink a couple glasses a day. No, if you don't drink as much as you need you can still be dehydrating and just drinking the base amount of it, you can still get dehydrated. And I've been dehydrated a couple of times and it's not a good feeling. Those Charlie horses in the middle of the night don't feel too good when you when you're in a deep sleep. So I really appreciate you. And we're gonna I'm gonna bring you well, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit and see if we can kind of continue this conversation and giving people some options while helping you to promote your platform and your brand because it's something that's important to me and I got to stay relevant in it. and it has to be relevant in my life as well. So I want to keep the conversation going. But I normally close out every show with two questions. Well, one question: what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self, and what question would you ask to your 100-year-old self?
Oh wow. Oh man, those are really two really good questions. Excellent questions. Okay, so my 17-year-old self, I would say be patient. Don't rush. Like, that like I feel like patience, exercising patience is like one of the hardest things. That's something I struggle with to this day,
Right.
and just thinking that things are supposed to be a certain way, or you kind of have your mind made up of how your life's supposed to go. I never thought I would be here. So it's just like, wow. And then my 100-year-old self.
What question would you ask them?
Oh, man. I don't even know.
Okay. I mean, it's no right or wrong answers, but it simply lets you know where you are in your journey, and it's something that you should ask yourself like as you go on, because even the advice that you would give to your 17-year-old self changes as you evolve, and your question to your 100-year-old self changes as you get closer to wherever you're going. This has been another edition of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Thank you, Janae. I appreciate you. You're definitely going to see her on this platform again because I need the help. Up next, it is the Cocktail Social talk show with the fabulous Blue Waters. So thank you again. I appreciate you. And I'll put out I'll share your Instagram and stuff like that once I do my post wrap up. Again, see y'all later. Peace out. See you, Janae.
I see you. Thank you.
Thank you.